our next presentation, I'm a little behind, is to have Adel. So all you come back from your break, we're ready to start up. And my lovely co-host, Adel, will be talking about Fusion Analytic Warehouse in a nutshell. Adel, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you so much for the presentation. So let me share my screen. And start with the presentation. Okay, so can you see my screen? Dan, just
yes,
in case.
It's looking great.
Perfect. Okay, then. So and I'm using some template for our analytics and data Oracle user community. So we're going to talk about Fusion Analytics Warehouse in this session. So first of all, I just want to let me minimize this. Just talk a little bit about me. My name is Edelweiss. Kammermann is quite complicated, so everybody call me Edel, which is so much easier. I'm a computer engineer. I'm from Uruguay. I work in my areas of sorry about that. I don't know what's happening. My areas of specialization are analytics, data integration, and machine learning. I have been working with Oracle technologies for more than 20 years. I just say over 20 years, more than 20 years. I'm not saying the real number to not, sounds that old. I'm working a lot with the community. I'm the co-founder and vice president of Uruguayan Oracle User Group. I'm the director of education of Latin American Oracle User Community, and I have the pleasure to be a board member of the Analytics and Data Oracle User Community. I'm also Oracle's director, and right now I'm working as senior manager since a few years for BI and data analytics at IT Conversions. Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about is what is Fusion Analytics Warehouse, and also what is not. So Fusion Analytics Warehouse is a cloud solution, cloud analytic platform solution for Oracle Cloud applications. In particular, right now we have, I don't know what, it's the slides. That is why you have the same issue with yours, then. I don't know why. So we have Oracle Fusion Analytics Warehouse to have sources like Oracle Cloud ERP and HCM. And in the roadmap, and probably between the beginning of next year, is going to have Oracle Cloud Fusion Analytics Warehouse for SCCM Cloud and CX Cloud. Okay, so what is Fusion Analytics Warehouse? So this is a platform that is based on AWC and Oracle in this cloud, and it has a lot of pre-built content, but it's also extensible. So the way to work with this is create an instance, load the data from your Oracle Cloud application, and then you start with the customizations. It's a very rapid implementation, so usually with 2 months, you have everything up and running and you can start working with it, kind of, right? So kind of 2 months. So this is mostly the time. If you're going to do it yourself, it's going to take a lot more time. One thing that is important is if you're familiar with Oracle BI apps, this is not a lift and shift option for Oracle BI apps. So if you're using Oracle EBS on-prem, this is not the solution for you. Okay, so this is important for you to know. It's not that if you have Oracle BI apps, so you can do a lift and shift to Fusion Analytics Warehouse, because it's not working like this. This using as Oracle Cloud ERP as a source, and Oracle Cloud ERP and EBS are very different in the way that they work. Okay, so this is important for you to know that it's not just a lift and shift of another option. Another thing that you have to understand is the architecture. So you're going to have some part that is pre-built content. All this pre-built content is Oracle managed. Does it mean that you cannot modify it? You can see it, but you cannot modify it. So for example, I mentioned before that this is coming with OEC, it's based on OEC and Autonomous Data Warehouse Cloud. But you cannot, for example, access the Oracle Analytics Cloud RPD with the admin tool, right? So you're going to be able to customize the semantic model, but you cannot do it in the same way that you do it if you're using OIC standalone, okay? So all the packaged model that you have here is for you to do all the customizations in an easy way, and also to be sure that you are following the rules that you should, okay? But we're going to see here that you can do some customizations. You can customize different levels. For example, you can custom the presentation layer, you can custom the schema, you can custom the ETL. We're going to see what are the things that we can customize and how that it works for us, okay? So first of all, how we can provision a Fusion Analytics Workhouse instance. The way that we can provision is totally specified in these videos. Let me go to this URL so we can, let me go to that. Very easy. Okay. So I'm not going to run all the videos, not at all. I'm not going to run any of this, but let me minimize this. Okay. Okay, perfect. And let me just put the link here. Okay, in the Oracle Fusion Analytics Workhouse documentation, you have all the videos with all the steps to provision Fusion Analytics Workhouse. Basically, what you have to do, and come back to the slides, is to have an Oracle account and activate that account and buy Fusion Analytics Workhouse. It's not that simple. For example, one of the questions that sometimes I have from my clients is, how can I can, for example, I have a free trial. Can I use it? No, you cannot. You cannot. In fact, if we're going to, let me share something here. If I go to my cloud instance, if I want to create a Fusion Analytics Warehouse, let me go here. Okay, so in order to create a Fusion Analytics Warehouse, you have to go to Analytics and AI, Fusion Analytics Warehouse. And because I don't have any Oracle Cloud applications, that is something that you cannot use, common universal credits for a free trial, we cannot create an instance here. So if you want to do that, this is the message that you're going to have. Okay, but this is the step. Basically, what you're going to do is buy the Fusion Analytics Warehouse, activate the Oracle Cloud, synchronize the application cloud with Identity Cloud services, so you can add the users and groups for application. Set single sign-on, which is an optional thing, and then create the Fusion Analytics Workhouse instance. We're going to see the step very, very, very quickly, and configure the Fusion Analytics Workhouse. That means set some global parameters and report parameters and load your data. Okay. So for creating a Fusion Analytics Workhouse, this is the same thing that I'm just show you. The difference that here I have some screenshots that show you exactly what happened when you can press the create button. And for that, you need to obviously put a name and select what is the offering that you're going to have for this Fusion Analytics Warehouse. Select if this is going to be a development test or a production environment, and select the user for username, which is usually Fusion Analytics Warehouse service, password, and then if you see, you have all the details here to create the autonomous data warehouse cloud. Okay, so you have to use the admin user is the default. You cannot modify that. You have to put some password, confirm the password, and create the Fusion Analytics warehouse. One thing that it is important for you to see that once you enter all the details for the Fusion application connection, okay, so you have to put the URL, the username and password, then you have a test button here that you have to press it just to be sure that you can connect with your cloud ERP application. Once you do this, you create your autonomous put all it is to create the autonomous data warehouse cloud and press the create button, and you will have, after 1 hour approximately, a Fusion Analytics warehouse up and running. In this screen, you will see the analytics application URL, the analytics cloud, and the autonomous data warehouse access. So one thing that is important for you to know is if you already have Oracle Analytics Cloud or you already have autonomous data warehouse, you cannot reuse them to have Fusion Analytics Warehouse. Fusion Analytics Warehouse, when you create an instance, it automatically creates the autonomous data warehouse instance and Oracle Analytics Cloud. Okay, so it comes with this is a packaged solution, right? So it's not that you can reuse some OAC Cloud instance that you have before. Okay, the next step that you have to do is configure a Fusion Analytics Warehouse instance. The way to do it is to go to the console. I'm going to show you in these screenshots. Go to the data configuration and then basically first create, set the pipeline parameters and then report parameters for each. It will be different for each, obviously, offering. And then set some details for the application, activate the plan, and load the data. Okay, so this is an example of the pipeline parameters. For example, you need to set the analytics currency, the language, what is the exchange rate type, the initial extract date, okay, and the incremental execution time. For report parameters, this will be depend, obviously, of the offering. In this case, is enterprise resource planning. I'm going to pass this quite fast because I want to have time to do some demos, okay? And then for each of, imagine that you have Oracle Cloud ERP, or you have enterprise resource planning, or you have human capital management, or maybe you have just one. Okay, for each, if you have both, you have to, for each of them, set the plan for the offerings. Okay, this is quite similar if you're using Oracle BI apps with ODI that you have to do to enter into the BICM and do all this configuration. But this is so much simpler, so much easier to do. Okay. Before going to the types of customizations that we can have, let me go to show you how Fusion Analytics Warehouse looks like. So let me minimize this again. Okay. Okay, so this is Fusion Analytics Warehouse. Fusion Analytics Warehouse, if you see the hamburger menu, you will have home, and you will have a couple of things that you are not familiar if you're using just Oracle Analytics Cloud, which is DEX and KPIs. So this is the pre-built content that you have. KPIs is one of the most important ways to show the data, and comes with a lot of pre-built KPIs for each offering, but it also, and we're going to see that, we can customize that content, okay? So this is the DEX. The DEX are like one or can have one or more cards. This is named cards. And these cards showing these KPIs, and I can customize this card, for example, to show something different, okay? I can also add a filter for this card. I can also set some status and notification. And as is usually happen with a live demo, sometimes a message like, I have to reset my login. Let me do that. That is why. Okay, so this is a very big difference between OIC standalone and Functional Analytics Warehouse. You have this new concept of KPIs when you're going to measure your targets and see if you how far away or how close are you from your goals. Okay, so these are the decks. You can have many different decks in just one screen depending on the permissions that you have. Okay, and while we are loading all the data again, okay, I want to show you also how we can perform the customizations. Okay, let me come back here. So we can do extensibility in 3 different ways. We can do extensibility for the presentation, for the semantic model, which is basically the RPD. This is for the people who is familiar with OBIEE and Oracle Analytics Cloud, is basically the RPD, and for the data. So let's work on this a little bit. So presentation extensibility, what that means is that you can create your custom cards, your custom KPIs, you can define your own decks, and obviously you can define all the OEC objects that you have, projects, analysis, report, dashboard, and you're going to use some external data, or you can use the subject areas that comes all with the pre-built content. With the semantic model extensibility, what you can do is to extend the RPD, but instead of have your hands on the RPD with administration tool, what you're going to have is a way in the console to have the data augmentation. And in that way, you're adding a dimension, you're adding a hierarchy, you're adding a fact, you create a subject area or you modify a subject area, but you cannot access the RPD using the admin tool. In this way, you're going to build the same thing, but with a UI totally different. The data extensibility is for extend semantic model. You can also extend semantic model like, adding a new column in the subject area, but you can also go to Oracle Analytics Cloud and create a connection to the Oracle applications in a new data set. These are the 2 ways to do it. And it will depend if you're a business user or you're IT people. And one thing that is important is maybe you are a business user that you're trying to review something or try to analyze the root cause of something. And it's not necessary that that is going to have to be in the governed data. So you're just, trying to discover some patterns and trying to discover the root cause of something. And you can, add in external data from OEC if you have the privilege. And then if that it works for you and that you find that this is very useful for you and it could be very useful for the rest of the team, you can ask IT people to add it and include it into the semantic model or into the autonomous data warehouse to be shared with the rest of the team. Okay. Let me come back to the application. That is why I should have recorded the session, but well.
Adel, can I ask
Yes.
There's some questions in here, and I just want to, while you're doing that, I wanted to get these in there. FAW is different from OAC. These questions were asked before you got into most of the presentation. So if you feel like you already handled it, that's fine, but I just want to cover these.
Yes, it's different in the way. So it's based on OEC and Autonomous Data Warehouse. But for example, you cannot create a snapshot. You cannot access the RPD in the same way that you can access the RPD in OEC. You cannot create a bar file, for example, and do the lift and shift. This is something that you cannot do because you cannot access the semantic model in that way. Okay. And the other thing that is important is that you have the different concept of KPIs and cards and decks. This is a concept that we don't have in OEC. And it makes sense because this is very oriented to the business. right? So that is why, for example, if I want to, and I have like 8 minutes, no? Something like that. Let me show you something. So this is a deck, okay? So this is a deck, for example, a card that I already created. I can expand it, and yeah, it's a shared environment. I think that is the main issue here. Let me show you something else. Okay, so you can, for example, go to the menu of that. This is a custom card, so that it has more options. And one of the options is to, for example, go to the analysis that has that is linked to this KPI. And how we can do that? We can do it using, let me come back to, okay, this is the analysis. And we can do that. We can create a KPI and associate some analysis. So business users can, if they want to go deeper, they can do it. And if they have the right privilege, they can also edit it and modify it or save it as another name. So let me do the KPI. Creation. So in the KPIs, we have many KPIs that are already come with the with the Fusion Analytics Warehouse. But you can create your own. In order to create your own, you can select all the subject areas. This is all the subject areas that you have as a pre-built content. But you can also create some KPIs based on other data sets. Okay, some Excel files, some autonomous data warehouse tables, some tables from an on-prem database, whatever you want. Okay, so I will create one with some payroll cost Excel file that I have. Okay, and I will add it to the KPI. Okay, so you will see here all the data elements of this data set. So let me put it one name. I want to do the payroll cost analysis. KPI. And if you see the name that I just put it here, it appears on the left panel. And then I can set some important things like which type of KPI is this? Which type of calendar are we going to use? Is it a fiscal calendar, a Gregorian calendar? You will see all the calendars that you already have. And what do we want? We want to stay above the target, below the target. It's a cost. Okay, I want that we are not passing all the payroll costs. So my goal is we stay below the target. Okay, and the trends obviously is going to increase over time. Okay, so I set that. I put some description if I want. Okay, payroll cost of the whole company. Okay, I can add some tags, finance, for example. Okay, and then in the data, I will put what are my measures, what are my targets, the time levels and related grouping categories or related measure. Okay, so for example, let me move it here and say, well, the payroll cost is my measure. So I can drag and drop it here. In this case, I already have a target defined in my data set, but maybe I cannot. In that case, I can come here and create a calculation. I won't do it just because I don't want to spend much time, but you can create a new calculation and that new calculation is going to appear under here. Okay, so if you don't have a target already in your data set and you didn't build it in the data warehouse, do not worry, you can do it here. Okay. Then I will like to, for example, analyze or give the possibility to the business users to analyze some related measures. Like, for example, R&D expenses or sales marketing expenses too. Okay, other expenses. I want to have the possibility to analyze some related measures. And for the grouping categories, I want to add, first I'm going to add the time level. So I'm going to use fiscal year for the year, fiscal quarter for the quarter, and fiscal month for the month. Okay. I can create some data filters here, and I want to have the possibility to work with different dimensions, like, for example, balancing segment name or ledger name, cost center name, legal entity name, okay, and also fiscal year and fiscal quarter. So I want to fiscal quarter, fiscal year, and fiscal month. Okay. And then I can set the conditions. Okay, this is my target. I can preset these three values, or preset just warning and critical, or just good and critical. So I will do it in this way, so I have everything. And another option that is quite nice is the option that I show you. We can link this KPI to a project, to a dashboard, or a analysis. Okay, so I can add, for example, and search in my OIC catalog, for example, Oracle, Fusion ERP, and go to General Ledger, and I create a payroll analysis before. Here we are, payroll cost analysis. Okay, I will keep the same defaults values, and I can link this analysis to that. So after I have everything defined, I press save. Okay, if I go to my KPIs, I will show you that in a minute, I have a new KPI here. So let me come back to my deck. You can create a new one very easily. So for example, maybe it's better doing that. I can create a new deck. Just put it some name. Yeah, I hope that Oracle is not loading the data right now during my presentation. But well, I can create a new card, and I will do it using the KPI that I just created. Okay, so let me search for it. Okay, I will select this, and if you see, I can have this value, and I can customize this card. Okay, and I can see here all the dimensions that I put it, when I created the KPI. I can go to customize card. Okay, this is my target. I will use the current quarter, and for the target value, I can use the variance from target. I can use the target value, and it's modifying here. It's modified here. Let me. Okay, here. I want to use the percentage of variance from target. And you will see the difference there. I can also show the change from the last period that appear there. I can also change it for the same period last year. I don't want to do more modifications for the time. And I want to display the payroll cost. But because I added some other measures, related measures, I can also add some of them. Okay. And this is the group by for the dimension. Okay. Instead of that, I will put the historic time. And I can also change the type of visualization. This is a line, but I want to use, for some reason, line is the best way to show the, but because we have months, we don't have days, I want to use it a bar instead of a line. There we are. And I can also set the notifications. I can allow notifications, and obviously I don't want a notification if everything goes good. It's good. I want with critical and warning. That's it. Add the card. And we're going to see the card in a few seconds. There we are. And then you can create your own deck creating your own content, or you can also, let me come back to the balance sheet. I assume it's already loaded. If you want, I can answer some questions then. So we can, this is the last thing that I will show. So
Sure.
we are
Didn't know when you wanted to handle. There's several in there. If we run out of time, you can handle them during the after the break. But yes. One of them is FAW is only Oracle as a source, and OAC can have various. Is that the way this works? And now, interestingly enough, in your demo, I did see that you included accessing external data as a KPI.
Yes,
but how does Oracle, how does FAW handle external data sources, or is it really plumbed for just using Fusion as a source? Can you address that?
Yes, you can add external sources in two ways. You can add external sources to your autonomous data warehouse. Okay, in that case, you can use, for example, ODI in Marketplace, which is the free license if you already have Fusion Analytics Warehouse. You're going to pay for the virtual machine. So in the ODI Marketplace, you have a template. You create a VM on OCI with everything, with ODI in there. Or you can use your own ETL and your own data source. Imagine that you have, I don't know, an SQL server, and you already have integration services. Okay, you can use integration services and using your SQL Server database and to load the transformation with integration services to autonomous data warehouse. You can use your own ETL tool, or you can use ODI in Marketplace. This is one way to add external data. Could be on-prem, could be in the cloud.
Okay, go ahead.
And this way it's going to be a governed data. Okay, so it's going to have in that. After that, you're going to create maybe a subset area with that information. Okay, something like that, and you create your own. If you see the slides, you're going to create your own. Let me close this.
Yeah, we're seeing your slide.
Okay, perfect. You're going to create your own custom schema, your own semantic extension, your own KPI dashboards and reports. Okay, so you can extend the ones, or you can create the one with a complete different source, and then you can merge it. You can merge different subject areas. You can in OAC. The problem is Fusion Analytics is a huge thing. So it's quite difficult to show you all the things that I wanted in just a few minutes, and because I don't know why it asked me to relog in again, it took more time than it's supposed to. But
there's another question that related to that that I want to knock out. Can you implement a KPI through a data flow?
You can implement the data flow and having a new data set. Is that what I mean?
I'm just reading. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Can you implement? I would think you could create a data set through the data flow, and then
use
you that as.
You can create any data set using data flow. Data flow. So, for example, if you go to data here in the Fusion Analytics Warehouse menu, or to projects, you will see, and you will access Oracle in this cloud. Okay, and this Oracle in this cloud is basically the same Oracle in this cloud that you have. Okay, so you can
Okay.
create a data flow, you can create a data set, you can create a new data set merging 4 different data sources and use that data set to create a KPI.
Okay. There are a couple other questions, but I want to make sure you get through what you wanted to show.
Yes, yes, I think that I try to run to show everything. It's a lot of information, but they're going to have the slides with some additional information also. But if you have one more question or something like that we can address.
Sure. If you're done presenting, I have a couple more.
Yes.
Are you limited in customization? I think you got about another 7 minutes or so, if I have my timing right on this. Are you limited in customization then in FAW? Limited customizations, or what can you do on customizations?
In customizations, you can, so it's not, I don't know if that person is familiar probably with Oracle BI apps. Mm-hmm. So if you can compare what you can do with Oracle BI apps is limited, but let me stop here. It's limited, but you can customize, for example, let me show you this.
And that's related to another question I'm going to piggyback on here. How do you actually customize the semantic model? Can you update the RPD to extend out-of-the-box facts and dimensions with my own schema and other data outside of Fusion? That's the next question. So if you can answer both those at once, great.
Yes, I will answer those. So you cannot modify there. You cannot put your hands on the RPD. Okay, you cannot use the admin tool. You cannot have the create model option in the OEC here in Fusion Analytics Warehouse, right? So the way that you can do it is so in Fusion Analytics Warehouse, there is a option that I don't have because I don't have the administration permission here. This is a shared environment. You have something else here that is called console. That console has a data integration. It's like data configuration. This is the console. You have the data configuration, and you have so you have to go there and go to the data augmentation option. This one, okay? In the data augmentation option, you can augment your semantic model. You can create a new dimension. You can add a new column to an existing dimension, extending a dimension, right? You can add a fact table in the same way that in a similar way that you have done this in Oracle BIA, right? And you can also create your own subset area. So imagine that you're using another source that doesn't have anything to do with Fusion Analytics Warehouse, okay? So you're using your data source, you create your store schema in the Autonomous Data Warehouse, and you want to create a subset area based on that. You can do that, okay? So you can do all this stuff, okay? Add a dimension, extend a dimension, add a fact table, create a subset area, or modify an existing subset area too. But you have to use this UEI, okay? So you cannot use the way that we are used to, with the admin tool and just, modify the RPD and that's it. You cannot do that. But you can do the same with this option.
Okay. Another question came in that I'm actually going to suggest that you handle the detail on this during the break. Can this deck be shared? And I'll give you behind the scenes, Adel. Behind the scenes, you've been presenting, but our amazing assistant, Carrie, has already uploaded your slide deck to the Slack workspace.
Amazing. She's amazing.
So the Slack workspace for A&D OUC has it. So if I can ask you as part of the break, if you can showcase how we get to the Slack workspace, give you a heads up, and show how you can get at the slide deck for that. That'll be there for next time. Anything else on that in terms of sharing the deck? It's a great deck.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that we are. In any other questions? Because I don't.
Yeah, there's another one in here that I want to highlight. A follow-up on the RPD question on extending. Does this automatically update the RPD on the server with your new customizations?
it creates the new, so the way that it's more complicated that I'm just explaining here.
Yeah.
You create a branch, but if I continue talking, I will, have a like 3 hours session. It's not like this. You have a branch, and then you create your modification, and then you merge the branch. Okay, it's like a GitLab thing, right? If you want to think in that way, it's not that just that you immediately have the modification in there. You create a branch, okay? You versioning the thing. But again, this is a long. it needs a long answer, and we don't have time. But I can send you the reference links to that. In the documentation, you will see how to create a branch and how to do all these changes.
Yeah, and I'll add that's so that you can keep it updated. And this is one of the things that especially Fusion Analytic Warehouse platform is plumbed to do, not just make the customization, but keep it updated as they come out with new releases.
And one important thing is that, and this is for the people that works with Oracle BA, it's a good news. All the upgrade, it's going to keep all the customizations that you're doing. Okay, so imagine that. So remember that Oracle is managing the patch. So you need to patch if you need to take care of if you have a complete different schema with a complete different source and this type of things, right? That is, you have to manage this. But imagine that you extend a dimension or something like that. That is something that if Oracle is applying a patch or applying an upgrade, this is going to keep it there. This is not something that they're going to delete. Everything you have to apply the customizations again. So this is the good part. So the upgrade part here is so it's not precisely a pain in the neck. It's not the way that we did it in Oracle BA. In every single upgrade is painful. No, the patches and upgrades are managed by Oracle, and your content is not going to be deleted. They're going to be there after the upgrade.
Okay, and one last question that kind of is similar to the previous one, but I'll go ahead and ask, will this particular presentation be available afterwards? Because I got calls from work and missed a lot. So another request for your amazing presentation, Adel. So thank you. And perhaps you can show that. Any other things before we transition to the break? Perfect.
No, I think that we can show in the break how we can join our Slack channel and the content that we have there.
Well, Adel, then I'll thank you very much for showing